"You're nothing but a broke military failure," my sister hissed, her face contorted with pure spite as she ripped my $5 million check directly down the middle. The sound of paper tearing echoed through the marble lobby of the bank, sharp as a gunshot. Pieces of the paper fluttered to the polished floor right at the feet of my 7-year-old son, who burst into tears and hid behind my legs. My sister laughed, signaling the security guards to surround us like criminals, eager to watch me suffer. But her smug expression vanished the instant the heavy glass doors burst open. Her regional boss came sprinting across the lobby, gasping for air, his face pale as a ghost. Ignoring her completely, he dropped to one knee in front of me, trembling as he uttered 2 words that made my sister's jaw drop. "Welcome, Colonel." My name is Samantha, and at 28 years old, I was finally returning to my quiet home state with my 7-year-old son, Leo. After spending 8 long years serving as a specialized military officer, managing classified defense technology operations overseas, I had officially retired to build a peaceful civilian life. However, coming home meant re-entering the orbit of my younger sister, Kendra. Growing up, Kendra was always our family's golden child. Driven by status and fast money, she had spent her 20s climbing the corporate ladder to become a senior branch manager at one of the city's most prestigious financial institutions. While she flaunted designer clothes and leased expensive foreign cars, my military service was constantly dismissed by our family. Because my actual rank as lieutenant colonel and my work on high-level defense patents were strictly classified, Kendra and my parents looked down on me. To them, I was just a broke veteran who'd wasted her youth doing cheap manual labor in uniform while Kendra achieved real success. I never bothered to correct them. I didn't care about boasting or throwing titles around. My priority was providing a quiet, secure future for Leo away from the spotlight. But Kendra's arrogance had only grown over the years, fed by the belief that she was untouchable and superior in every way. She had no idea that my time in the military was about to cross paths with her corporate world in a way neither of us could have ever predicted. 2 weeks after my discharge, I received a thick, heavy envelope in the mail. Inside was a certified cashier's check for $5 million, a tax-free, lump-sum payment representing the commercial buyout of a defense patent I had developed during my service. Holding that paper, I felt a quiet wave of relief. This money wasn't for designer bags or flashy sports cars. It meant absolute security for my son. It meant I could set up an irrevocable trust fund for Leo's future, ensuring his education, health, and housing were locked in for life before I even touched a dime for myself. The following Monday morning, I dressed in a simple blouse and jeans, holding Leo's hand as we walked down to the main commercial district downtown. My goal was simple: open a high-yield trust account and deposit the check. I chose the central branch of First National Trust, knowing it was the largest financial hub in the region. What I didn't realize until we stepped through the heavy glass doors into the polished marble lobby was that this specific branch had recently become Kendra's personal kingdom. As a newly appointed senior branch manager, Kendra ruled this floor with an iron fist. Her employees walked on eggshells around her, terrified of her temper. I had simply hoped to slip in, speak to a desk teller, complete my business, and leave without making a scene. But as fate would have it, the moment Leo and I took our place in line, Kendra stepped out of her corner glass office, her sharp eyes scanning the floor, and locking right onto us. A slow, cruel smile spread across Kendra's face the moment she recognized me standing in line. Dressed in a tailored blazer and towering heels, she bypassed her staff and strode directly over to the teller counter, tapping her manicured nails against the wood. "Well, well," Kendra said, her voice loud enough to draw the attention of nearby customers. "Look what the wind blew in. Did you get lost on your way to the temp agency, Samantha?" I kept my composure, maintaining the steady focus I'd developed through years of military discipline. "Hello, Kendra. I'm just here to open a trust account for Leo." Kendra scoffed, looking down her nose at my simple jeans and shirt before glaring at Leo. "A trust account? With what? The spare change from your military severance pay?" She snapped her fingers at the young teller behind the glass. "Step aside, Brenda. I'll handle my sister's budgeting needs personally." I reached into my handbag, pulled out the certified cashier's check, and laid it smoothly on the counter. "I'd like to deposit this into a high-yield trust fund, please." Kendra picked up the document with 2 fingers, as if it were contaminated. The moment her eyes registered the bold numbers, $5 million, Her sneer turned into a cold, vicious glare. Instead of verifying the routing code or running it through the scanner, she tossed it back onto the marble counter like a piece of trash. "Is this a joke?" she sneered, raising her voice so the entire lobby could hear. "Where did you print this fake check, Samantha? A jobless, washed-up veteran doesn't just walk around with $5 million. Trying to commit bank fraud in my branch is a new low, even for you." "Kendra, check the official issuing bank serial number," I said, keeping my tone perfectly calm. "It's a fully cleared, government-backed cashier's check. Process it." Instead of checking the computer terminal, Kendra let out a bitter, spiteful laugh that rang through the entire lobby. "I don't need to check anything. I know you, Samantha. You've always been a liar, trying to act like your little military job made you important. Now you're so desperate to look successful in front of your kid that you forged a multi-million-dollar draft." Before I could react, her hands closed around the edges of the check. With a sharp, sudden motion, she tore it directly down the middle. The loud rip echoed off the marble walls like a gunshot. She threw the torn pieces onto the floor, right at my son's feet. Little Leo gasped, bursting into tears and frantically wrapping his arms around my legs, terrified by her sudden outburst. "Look at what you've done to your kid, dragging him into your criminal games," Kendra hissed, her eyes gleaming with malicious satisfaction. She slammed her hand down on the security desk button. "Security. I have an intruder committing bank fraud and disturbing the peace. Escort this woman and her child off the premises immediately." 2 armed security guards moved in fast, taking positions on either side of us to block the exit. Customers stared in shock, whispers filling the room as Kendra folded her arms, smugly waiting to watch me dragged out like a criminal. I placed a gentle hand on Leo's shoulder, stepping in front of him to block him from the guards. I looked my sister dead in the eye, my voice dropping to a icy, commanding frequency. "Kendra, you have 5 seconds to pick up those pieces and step away from that counter, or you will destroy your entire life." She just smirked. "Or what, Samantha? You're nothing to me." Before the guards could take another step toward us, the heavy double doors at the front of the bank burst open with a loud bang. A tall man in a tailored charcoal suit came sprinting across the lobby, gasping for breath as his dress shoes skidded against the polished floor. It was Arthur Vance, no relation to me, but the regional chief executive officer who oversaw every branch in the state. Just minutes earlier, the system at corporate headquarters had flagged a high-priority, black-tier VIP transaction originating at this exact branch. When an automated alert signaled a multi-million-dollar government defense buyout, the CEO had rushed over personally to ensure their top-tier client received red carpet service. Kendra's face lit up with greedy triumph, completely misinterpreting his arrival. "Mr. Vance," she called out, stepping out from behind the counter with an exaggerated smile. "You arrived just in time. I caught a trespasser trying to pass off a forged $5 million check. I was just having security escort her out." Ignoring Kendra completely, the CEO didn't even glance at her. His eyes swept across the lobby, locking onto me, and his face instantly turned pale as a ghost. He recognized my face instantly from top-level military defense briefings, where I had overseen multi-billion-dollar contract security clearances for his firm's top investors. Sprinting past Kendra, he shoved past the security guards and stopped directly in front of me. To the utter horror of my sister and her staff, the CEO snapped to attention, offered a deep, formal nod of respect, and spoke 2 words that echoed through the silent lobby: "Welcome, Colonel." Kendra's jaw dropped so low she looked like she'd been struck by lightning. "See, Colonel," she stammered, her voice shaking violently. "Mr. Vance, there's been a mistake. She's just my sister. She's a jobless veteran." "Silence," the CEO snapped, his voice thunderous as he turned on her with pure rage. "Lieutenant Colonel Samantha Vance is a decorated national defense officer and one of our institution's highest-value clients worldwide. What on earth is going on here?" I reached down, scooped up the torn halves of the $5 million check from the floor, and handed them to Mr. Vance. "Your branch manager refused to verify a legitimate government defense draft. She publicly accused me of fraud, humiliated my son, tore up a legal cashier's check, and ordered security to remove us." Mr. Vance looked at the shredded check in his hands, then at my crying son, and finally at Kendra. His face turned deep red with fury. You destroyed a $5 million certified instrument and harassed a federal defense officer in my lobby. I didn't know. Kendra squeaked, shrinking back as the entire staff stared at her in utter shock. You are fired, effective immediately, Mr. Vance declared, his voice cold and final. Escort her off the premises now. I will personally ensure criminal charges are filed for destruction of negotiable instruments and gross misconduct. The security guards immediately turned on Kendra, grabbing her arms as she began to sob and beg for mercy. They dragged her right past the stunned customers, throwing her out the front doors into the street, her corporate career burned to ashes in seconds. Mr. Vance bowed deeply to me once more. Colonel Vance, please accept my deepest apologies. A new draft will be processed immediately in my private office. Within an hour, Mr. Vance had personally handled the reissue of the $5 million draft and established an irrevocable, high-yield trust fund for my son. He even waived all administrative fees and assigned a senior private banker to manage our accounts with white-glove service moving forward. As Leo and I stepped out into the bright afternoon sun, I took a deep breath of fresh air. My sister was sitting on the curb outside, her mascara ruined by tears, holding her personal belongings in a cardboard box as her former co-workers watched from the windows. She looked up at me, eyes filled with shame and regret, but I simply held my son's hand tighter and kept walking. Arrogance and entitlement had driven Kendra to destroy her own life, while quiet resilience had protected mine. I didn't feel vengeance, only a deep sense of peace knowing that Leo's future was locked in, completely secure and untouchable. What would you have done if you were in my shoes? Would you have given Kendra a second chance, or did she get exactly what she deserved? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more real-life stories.